Something strange has happened in the coup world. Now, in Africa, in West Africa, Guinea-Bissau has had an election. Now, that election, before the result was announced, a coup happened. Well, this was an orchestrated coup where the president has announced the coup, not the military that take over power. Usually, we hear the announcement that a coup happened in a country from those who took power. If it's a military, from the military, if it's another group, just like that. But this time, it was the president who said, I am deposed. And that same president has now flew to Congo Brazzaville, or Congo Republic, while the opposition leader, who claimed also victory, he flew or he exiled to Nigeria. Okay, now two African countries are hosting, one the president, the other one the opposition leader. Now we are here to unpack why we are saying this is an orchestrated coup and what had happened, because this is a normal election where the African Union and Ecowas observers were present, and they knew already they're there when the vote was counted, and they know who won this election. It's just a matter of for them to release the statement. Now, it was a day before or 2 days before the result was announced that a coup happened. Both the president and the opposition leader, the president Omaro Embalo, who is a 53 years old president, and the opposition leader Fernando Diaz have announced that they have won the election. But guess what? The military took over, and the military is saying it is creating stability in the country. Now, good luck, Jonathan. As African Union does traditionally when they send observer, mostly former presidents of member states be part of this kind of election observation. And good luck, Jonathan, who used to be a president of Nigeria, that is like, maybe if I'm not mistaken, 12 years ago or something, was present. And here is what he has to say. Let's listen to him. The footage is taken from Symphony, so we thank you for that.
In Guinea Bissau and, monitoring these elections.
Thank you so much. Since I left office, I've always been scared talking to the media. But in this particular case, I decided to speak to the media. First and foremost, to thank Nigerians for the show of empathy, the encouragement, because while we are in Bissau and this so-called coup happened, the information we got was that the whole country was agitated, young and old, irrespective of religious divides or political divides. And I sincerely appreciate Nigerians, and I want them to hear directly from my mouth to appreciate their concern. And secondly, to thank my president, President Tinubu, and the Ivorian president, President Ouattara. Both presidents were to send aircraft to lift us, but somehow, Côte d'Ivoire is closer to Guinea-Bissau, and there's always some relationship between Francophone countries and the Lusophones among the Francophones. They were able to penetrate their system to get landing permit first before Nigeria could do that. So the Ivorian aircraft was already on their way to pick us. So when we learned about the Nigerian aircraft about leaving, we asked them not to bother. That is why, if you see the pictures that was brought by an Ivorian aircraft. So we thank the two presidents, President Ouattara, President Tinubu, and indeed thank Nigerians, young and old, for that. And specifically, what happened in Guinea-Bissau, I wouldn't call it a coup. It was not a coup. if you, maybe some people describe it as no, not quite.
RNG?
I would just say, if it is like, for want of better word, I would say maybe because a ceremonial coup. Because for two things, it is the President Barrow, that announced the coup. Before later, the military man came up to address the world that they were in charge of everywhere. Then Mbalo has already announced the coup, which is strange. Not only announcing the coup, but Mbalo, while the coup took place, was using his phone and addressing media organizations across the world that he has been arrested. I'm a Nigerian close to 70, and I know how they keep heads of state when the coup takes place. Recently, I was a mediator in Mali, an Ecowas mediator in Mali, and within that period, we had a military coup. Military don't take over governments, and the sitting president that they overthrown will be allowed to be addressing press conferences and announcing that he has been arrested. Why does this happen? Who is fooling who? Basically, what happened in Guinea Bissau is quite disturbing to me, who believes in democracy. In fact, I feel more pained than the day I called Buhari to congratulate him when I lost the election as a sitting president. Because I've been quite particular about Guinea Bissau. As a sitting president, then Guinea Bissau was in crisis. Started by 2012. By 2011, we have to go physically. We worked with them and made sure that by 2014, we went 2013, elections were conducted. In fact, it was so bad the day that I learned that a military man went to the office of the prime minister and slapped the prime minister in the office. It was that bad. And what is happening is like we are going back to those dark days of Guinea-Bissau, where the military can do whatever they think they can do. It's totally not acceptable. The elections were done peacefully. We were in the field. I was a part of the West African Elders Forum. Normally, we are not co-observers, so we didn't deploy observation teams across, but we observed within Bissau, the capital, and the neighboring settlements. But during the meeting of all heads of observation missions, and they gave accounts of all the observers gave their account. Nobody gave something different. The elections were peaceful. Counting of results at the polling units peacefully done. The conduct of the electoral officials, the security, the party agents, the voters. So it was a good election, and one expected the results to be announced. Then while they were collating the results, then they are finished collating results. You know, results for presidential election are collated at different levels.
Right.
The 9 regions, results were ready. So they were collating them at the capital. And when they were almost through, and we're all waiting for the result to be announced, then Mbalo announced that that's a coup. That they have taken over, they have arrested him. But from all indications, nobody arrested him. My conviction is that, and my charge to Ecowas and AU is that they must announce the result. They have the result because AU and Ecowas officials were at all the regions when the results were collated. You cannot change those results. They should tally all those results and announce. They cannot force the military out, but they must announce, let the world know who won that election.
Now, the reason that the observers, what they're saying that they cannot announce, they couldn't announce the result when they were there at land observing in Guinea-Bissau, because there were all over, it was a military, the country was full of military, and they cannot say anything because they are afraid of for their lives. But now they're out. So as President Goodluck Jonathan said, they're out. They have been, an aircraft was sent for them by Ivorian government, and they have landed in Ivory Coast. Then they went all to their respective bases. But now it's time for the African Union and Ecowas, for the sake of their responsibility and accountability, they should release the result. Although it is the military, it doesn't matter who is in power, but they have to say the truth. And as President Jonathan said, let the world know.
Let the world know who won that election. And they owe the world that responsibility. Mm-hmm. Similar thing happened in Cote d'Ivoire when I was the chair of the Authority of Heads of State and Government of Ecowas. When in 2010, we had elections in Cote d'Ivoire. Gbagbo was the sitting president. At the first round, Gbagbo got 40-something% of the votes. Ouattara got 30-something% of the votes. And their law, you must get 50% of the votes plus one, at least. Democracy is about majority. You must get a simple majority to be the president. So they have to go for a second round. And when they went for the second round, all those other candidates that lost now supported Ouattara. And Ouattara now got more votes than Gbagbo. And Gbagbo said it was not going. That he won the election. How can somebody who had something now come and defeat him? But that is a law. Then all the observers, international community say Ouattara won the election. Then we Ecowas say, well, you're our colleague, but you have to go. If the observers, everybody say, Ouattara won the election, Ouattara must be sworn in as the president of Cote d'Ivoire. I stood my ground as the chair of the Authority of Heads of State and Government of Ecowas, and Ouattara was sworn in. So, the leadership of Ecowas, luckily, Madabio was a former military man himself, so he should be courageous. Leadership of AU, they must be courageous. They must announce who won that election. I'm not saying they should mobilize soldiers to go and fight. No need to save blood, but we must know. Because the results are there. They have the results. The AU, ECOWAS, they have the results. So we cannot be playing pranks. Nobody should call others fools. There's no way they remove a military coup. Military coup at the time they want to announce the result. How? And the president was the person who announced the coup. It doesn't happen anywhere. Well, people are too young, so they didn't know what used to happen in Nigeria. We're a country that witnessed a series of coups before. So it doesn't happen.
Well, Your Excellency, speaking about ECOWAS, as of this morning, there was an update that ECOWAS leaders have suspended Guinea Bissau from decision-making bodies. What comments do you have towards that?
No, that's traditional. Because ECOWAS, though, if you follow the history of ECOWAS started when a number of West African countries had military leaders. But later on, when leaders now see that for your economy, ECOWAS is economic community, the emphasis was the economy. But for you to develop your economy, you must be politically stable. So protocols were changed, and we agree that in ECOWAS, we must not go back to military rule. We must not go back to military dictatorship. We must embrace democracy. And since the change of protocols, if any country, a military takeover, that country is suspended. It's normal, it's natural. So we expect that, and they knew it was going to happen. So it's not strange.
So, Your Excellency, as we speak now, 4 countries within the West African bloc, 3 have already...
Don't worry yourself. Even if 5 countries remain in ECOWAS, so be it. It's costly to do the right thing. But ECOWAS must not bother. If Guinea Bissau want to join the military camp, they should. They should. Even if 5 countries are committed to remain in ECOWAS and develop ECOWAS, the only thing is that they must modify the protocols or create some other protocols to make sure that ECOWAS do things that will endear them to the citizens. Things that young people will benefit, things that business class will benefit, things that students will benefit. Let ECOWAS be attractive to citizens of the community, not just talking about political issues.
Well, I think President Jonathan is missing out what the people want here. I mean, if he's, that journalist is trying to refer what's happening in the Sahel now, 5 countries, that's Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger, and you have now Guinea-Bissau, and who else is there? There's another one, another Guinea-Conakry. Okay, Guinea-Conakry. Also, they have military leaders. But what happened in Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger, that is exceptional. This is what the people want. This is revolution. So you cannot do anything. So he just didn't want to touch that subject. And he just, oh, don't worry, just even if it's 5 countries, Ecowas, it is a block of 15 countries in West Africa. So like for ECOWAS to remain, be attractive for the young people, for the students, for the business people, this and that. Well, the citizens and the young people want different. So you just don't want to face that. I mean, he's talking about democracy. What democracy? Is it a democracy that's written by the West, and which we have seen in Africa? It has failed so many times, and it has cost us so many bloodsheds in the name of democracy, this electoral democracy. What about that people, presidents that people, I mean, the things that he talked about, he didn't pull out the best example when he talked about Ivory Coast, President Ouattara, this and that. But other things, let's just focus on what he said, Guinea-Bissau, which is an orchestrated coup. And he exposed something because he was part of that. He was part of that process, meaning as an observer from ECOWAS part and from the African Union part as well. There were observers. So he knows the process, he observed, he witnessed until the end. And he knows that each observer knows the result of this election. So they owe the world, particularly the African people, and very, very particularly the Guinea-Bissau people, to let them know who won the election. And it might not change the status quo that we see now, that the military has taken over. The president already has been sworn, all in suits, and saying they will be this interim president for 1 year. And we all know how that works. After 1 year, how they will keep on prolonging it. But yeah, they for their own accountability, they should tell the truth. Right now, as we speak, Fernando Diaz, the Liberation Movement, the opposition party known as PAGE, which is an acronym in French, in Portuguese, is in Nigeria. And you see that the connection between Nigeria and there, how he really, they know what happened. And this man is direct, he is the former president of Nigeria, and he's directly speaking to the president, this exiled president, that this is an orchestrated president. He himself announced it before even the military comes and tells the world that now there is a coup in Guinea-Bissau. So this is how it is. All we want is the Guinea-Bissau people deserve to know the truth. Okay, they have paid the price, their time and everything. So you're playing with them. You need to announce the truth. This is our situation in the continent. I mean, it tells at large the situation in the continent, where not only your government in your country in Africa fails you, but this biggest Pan-African institution, continental body called the African Union Commission, is failing the African people by keeping the truth from them. So all we are saying is let the African Union and ECOWAS tell the truth. Who won the election? That much you owe us. That's all I'm saying. And I think that's where we need to end it. I mean, good luck, Jonathan. Interview continues for about another 6 minutes, but I don't think it is, specifically on Guinea-Bissau. That was it. Thank you very much for tuning in, and let us know in the comment section, what do you think of this? It's a bye-bye from me for now, but I will see you on the next one. Bye-bye.